We're back with another one. Thank you for tuning into Stories. Story time with Uncle Charlie. I forget what the title of this is sometimes. Anyway, we are in Luke 12. We had a big one last time. I don't really know this one. It looks pretty long, 57 something verses, maybe more. We got a long one, so we're going to jump right into it. The last one was way longer than I typically try to keep these. I try to keep them around, under 15 minutes, but here we go. We'll see what we got. Luke 12, God knows and cares. Under these circumstances, after so many thousands of people had gathered together, that they were stepping on, so many people were gathered together, stepping on one another, he began to say to his disciples, first of all, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Right? But there is nothing covered up that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. Accordingly, whatever you have said in the dark will be heard in the light, and whatever you have whispered in the inner rooms will be proclaimed upon the housetops. I say to you, my friends, do not be afraid of those who kill the body, and after they have no more that they can do. But I will warn you to fear. Fear the one, after he has killed, has the authority to cast into hell. Yes, I tell you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 cents? Yet not one of them is forgotten before God. Indeed, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear. You are more valuable than many sparrows. And I say to you, everyone who confesses me before men, the Son of Man will confess him also before the angels of God. And he who denies me before men will be denied before the angels of God. And everyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But he who blasphemes against the Holy Spirit, it will not be forgiven him. What we talked about, just touched on briefly in the last chapter. When they bring you before the synagogues and the rulers and authorities, do not worry about how or what you are to speak in your defense, or what you are to say, for the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. Covetousness denounced. Someone in the crowd said to him, Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me. But he said to him, Man, who appointed me a judge or arbiter over you? And he said to them, Beware, and be on your guard against every form of greed. For not even when one has an abundance does his life consist of his possessions. And he told them a parable, saying, The land of a rich man was very productive. And he began reasoning to himself, saying, What shall I do, since I have no place to store my crops? Then he said, This is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones. And there I will store my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years to come. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, You fool, this very night your soul is required of you. And now who will own what you have prepared? So is the man who stores up treasures for himself and is not rich toward God. And he said to his disciples, For this reason I say to you, do not worry about your life, as to what you will eat, nor for your body as to what you will put on it. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens, for they neither reap nor sow, or sow nor reap. And they have no storeroom nor barn, and yet God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than the birds? And which of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life's span? If then you cannot do even a very little thing, why do you worry about other matters? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, but I tell you, not even Solomon in all his glory clothed himself like one of these. But if God clothes the grass of the field, which is alive today and tomorrow thrown into a furnace, how much more will he clothe you? You men of little faith. And do not seek what you will eat or what you will drink, and do not keep worrying. For all of these things the nations of the world eagerly seek, but your Father knows that thing you need. Sorry. But your Father knows that you need these things. I don't know why I keep messing these sentences up. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be added to you. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has chosen gladly to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to charity. Make yourselves money belts which do not wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near nor moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Man, love that. Be dressed in readiness and keep your lamps lit. Be like men who are waiting for their master when he returns from the wedding feast, so that they may immediately open the door to him when he comes and knocks. Blessed are those slaves whose masters will find on the alert when he comes. Another weird sentence. Truly I say to you that he will gird himself to serve, and have them recline at the table, and will come up and wait on them. Whether he comes in the second watch or even the third and finds them, so blessed are the slaves. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known what hour the thief was coming, he would not have allowed his house to be broken into. You too be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour that you do not expect. Peter said, Lord, are you addressing this parable to us or to everyone else as well? And the Lord said, who then is the faithful and sensible steward, whom his master put in charge of his servants, to give them their rations at a proper time? Blessed is the slave whose master finds so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will put him in charge of all of his possessions. But if that slave says in his heart, my master will be a long time in coming, and begin to beat the slaves, both men and women, and to eat and drink and get drunk, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour that he does not know, and will cut him to pieces, and assign him a place with the unbelievers. And the slave who knows his master's will and did not get ready and did not get ready or act in accord with his will receive many lashes. But the one who did not know it and committed deeds worthy of flogging will receive but a few. From everyone who has been given much, much will be required, and to whom they entrusted much, of him they will ask all the more. I feel like I've read that verse somewhere else and said it a little differently, but I like that. Let me read it one more time. From everyone who has been given much, much will be required, and to whom they entrusted much, of him they will ask all the more. I love that. I have come to cast fire upon the earth, and how I wish it were already kindled, but I have a baptism to undergo. And how distressed I am until it is accomplished. Do you not suppose that I came to grant peace on earth? I tell you no, but rather division. For from now on, five members in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. And he was also saying to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, immediately you say a shower is coming, and so it turns out. And when you see a south wind blowing, you say it will be a hot day. And it turns out that way. You hypocrites, you know how to analyze the appearance of the earth and the sky, but you do not know how to analyze. But why do you not analyze this present time? And why do you not even know? Goodness gracious, I'm butchering this. And why do you not even on your own initiative judge what is right? For while you are going with your opponent to appear before the magistrate, on your way there, make an effort to settle with him, so that he may not drag you before the judge, and the judge turn you over to the officer, and the officer throw you into prison. I say to you, you will not get out of there until you've paid every last cent. Interesting. Few things to call out here. So, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. This is what we touched on in the last two, and we'll touch on it a bunch in this podcast this week. The Pharisees are doing these showy, boisterous prayers, chanty kind of things. They're doing all the things that God is saying not to do. And he's rebuking this very plainly. Very plainly. And there obviously is some element of fear, right? Because they would drag these people over doing things differently or challenging Pharisees and Sadducees and whatever, high priests and such. And God is saying, don't fear man. Fear God. They can just kill you. Right? And we've seen now, if you're watching this in any time after 2025, you know that man can only kill the body. And they will do it. But do not fear man, because that's all they can do. They can kill your body. But God can kill your body and then throw your soul into hell. So fear him. So when it comes to, this is where, Martin Luther with his 95 Thesis, or with the Gentile, with Paul and Peter having their little back and forth, with John writing the first part of Revelation to the 7 churches in Asia Minor, with Paul multiple times rebuking the churches around at the time, and all the pressure that the Jews were putting on the Gentiles in that area, with Nero and Diocletian then coming forward after that and doing such a disgusting persecution of the Christians. Brutal stuff. He's saying, don't fear him. All they'll do is kill your body, but that's it. All they'll do is kill your body. If you confess me before men, I will confess you before the Father. But if you deny me before men, I will deny you before the Father. Well, it doesn't say it exactly like that. It says before the angels of God, but same idea. Oh, so this is an interesting parable, right? Where he's talking about just the temperament of individuals who they take up their safety or their sense of security in what treasures they can, store up. And, what he's illustrating here is like, this guy has a surplus. He's like, I'll tear down my barns and build the larger ones, right? So he has plenty. But his fields have an abundance. So instead of sharing that abundance, he wants to store the abundance too. He's got plenty. His barns are full. And he still has more. So he's going to tear his barns down, do all that work, and build even bigger barns, instead of be generous to God and give that to those who need it. And God is telling him, you are a fool. You're a fool. You're going to sit here and just keep on piling up the wealth. Just keep on amassing the wealth. Just keep on just gorging yourself on the blessings that I've given you, the surplus. And yes, you've worked very hard for it, but you have so much more than you need, and you just keep taking more. I'm going to take your life tonight, and then who's getting all your stuff? So listen, the world does that. You see billionaires out there. It's not saying there's anything wrong with making $1 billion and whatever, millionaire, whatever. It's not making any moral judgment on it. It's saying this temperament of it's never enough. I'm not going to give of my surplus. I'm going to hoard my surplus. I'm going to keep all of that, and I'm not going to give it to anyone else. I'm not going to be generous and rich toward God, right? That's what he says. So is the man who stores up treasures for himself and is not rich toward God. Store up your treasures and be rich toward God. Be rich toward God and do what, right? When Solomon prayed in his dream for wisdom to lead God's people well, God was honored by that. Right? He said, and this is why he says, where your treasures are, there your heart will be also, right? Sell your possessions, give to charity, make your money belts which do not wear out, an unfailing treasure in heaven where no thief, right? So he's saying, Solomon wasn't like, well, I got to be, I want to be the richest. I want to be the most powerful. I want to have the biggest kingdom. I want to have all this stuff. He wasn't worried about any of that. He was worried about being a good steward with God's people, being a wise leader. I need the wisdom to lead this nation. And God gave him the wisdom to lead that nation, and he added all of the other things too. Because you did not ask for riches and power and the head of your enemies and land and all, I'm going to give those all to you as well. So we ought to be the same way. We ought to be seeking the Lord first and foremost above all else. On all the other stuff God will add. All the other stuff God will. He'll take care of all the details. Again, we'll cover it in the podcast. I've got stories about this. We're not going to get into them on this. It's not what it's for. And just be ready. Be ready. That feeling that you get right before you're about to sin, be like, man, dude, the Lord could just come back right now. And if the Lord returned right now and I was in the middle of sinning, how embarrassing would that be? Don't ignore that feeling. Don't ignore that feeling. Right? Saying, oh, he's not going to be here for a while, so I'm fine. Don't ignore that feeling. I've done it. Don't ignore that feeling. It is this interesting rebuke to a blessing and a rebuke, right? He says, blessed is to the slave who finds, the slave whom his master finds doing. So when he comes, so he's saying, like, look, those folks who are just nose down, getting the work done, being a good steward with everything that I've given them, they're going to be in charge of much. But when I come back and you've been abusive and you've been misleading and you've been cutting loose in front of, it's going to be very bad for you. It'll cut them to pieces, it says. Listen, if you're a real Christ follower and you got any sort of gray matter and white matter between your two ears, you know of some abusive, swindling, false teachers out there. Some real bad pastors out there, real bad counselors out there who are parading around like they are a servant of the Lord, a slave to God, but they are not doing as they should. They'll be cut to pieces. But this is where, in certain areas, God does grade on the curve. The slave who knew his master's will and did not get ready or act in accordance with his will, he received many lashes. But the one who did not know it and committed deeds worthy of a flogging will receive but few. So saying, listen, you're responsible for what you know. For everyone who has been given much, much will be required, right? You've been given a lot of knowledge, then you're going to be expected to do. This is one of the reasons why I'm doing this. This whole thing of reading through the Bible and doing the podcast, I've been given an immense amount of knowledge through my upbringing, and I think a very balanced view of the Bible and what it says. And it's unique, I think. I don't know a whole lot of just regular folks that have not gone to seminary and all this stuff that, and kind of had not been in the most rock solid churches ever that can handle. But my father really taught me unbelievable. And then also have this, the desire or the ability to go and put this out there for everybody to see. And so, I feel compelled. I've been given a lot. I've been given the information and a good understanding of things, and I've been given the ability to broadcast and the desire and hopefully the talent. I mean, we'll see, to broadcast these things out. And I feel compelled to do these things. You're going to find those things in your own life where you've given much. You're either given a lot of wealth or you're given a lot of time. You're given a lot of strength or compassion or empathy. You're given the ability to just, really empathize and be there for people. And you're expected, if you've been given much of these things, much is going to be expected of you. And if you've been given a lot of children or a lot of responsibility or whatever, if you can be entrusted with that, you're going to see that keep increasing. If you can shoulder the load, you're gonna get more. Now, here's where, when we get into 49, there's I think a mirror passage of this in Matthew, maybe Mark, but I'm pretty sure it's Matthew, where it could be this one. Maybe there's not. I don't remember. I've read this. The last time I read this was a very long time ago. People will sit there and try to act like Jesus was some sort of this peace guru that just wants everybody to get along. And yes, he does want everybody to get along, but he knows that his message is divisive. He came to divide. Do you suppose that I came to grant peace on earth? I tell you no. I did not come to grant peace on earth. I came to divide. So, this just comes part and parcel with, or whatever the phrase is, with Christ infiltrating the knowledge of him, infiltrating into dark places. People are going to divide. When Christ enters a home, it's going to divide the home. Either the children are going to reject it, and it's going to be a big issue between them and the parents, or a lot of times it's the opposite. It comes in through the children, and then the parents are like, "Oh no," or whatever it looks like. The daughter-in-law, again, you just imagine all the situations where, you're trying to live a certain way and homeschool your kids and whatever. And the mother-in-law is just like, oh my God, how could you, they need to be brought up in the public school system, or what are you going to church for all the time? You're going to turn my kids into a bunch of little, my grandkids into a bunch of, or you drop your kids off at your mother-in-law's house, and she's taking them to church and reading the Bible with them or whatever, having prayer time, and it's oh my gosh, and it's just telling you, Jesus And his message, his real message, not the watered down stuff, not the white European Jesus, the real Jesus is barbed wire to those who will not know him. It is barbed wire. Imagine sticking barbed wire in your ears. That's what it feels like to unbelievers who are opposed to Christ to hear about him. They are allergic to the gospel, as my dad would say all the time. They are allergic to it. They can't handle it. But don't get it twisted. Jesus was not here to unite everybody. No, he was not. He was here to divide. He was here to gather for himself his church. And they ought to be united. But we are divided from the earth. We are divided from the world. Period. Then again, another indictment against them. You know how to read the signs. He's telling them, you know how to read the signs. You're not dumb. You know when water, the clouds coming in over here, it's rain. You know when the wind's coming in from the south, it's going to be hot. You know how to read the signs. You understand how things work. And you're seeing what's happening right now. There's a man in your midst who's eradicating sickness. There's 70 dudes out there in all the cities that are eradicating sickness and casting out demons, and yet still you are not reading the situation. All of a sudden, when a prophet comes into town, everybody's ears better be, because the judgment of the Lord is at hand. Kingdom of the Lord is at hand. I'm telling you, you're asking me, who can forgive sins but God? And I'm forgiving them. I'm performing greater works than any prophet. I'm saying, you have heard it said, but I say, you're getting ready to cast stones at this lady, and you're talking about 10 commandments, and then I write with my finger, just as the 10 commandments were written in the sand. I'm giving you all the signs. You are ignoring all of it. Big indictment against them. Please don't be that kind of person, right? As you read this, realize it could be any of us. It could be you, could have been me. And it is me sometimes. Realize it. Let this recalibrate you. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one. Read your Bible.